And welcome to another live edition of the Pump Fake. Jarrett Bailey with you as always, joined today by my friend JP Acosta from SB Nation, who's rocking. Is that just a New York Giants hat? Is that a San Francisco Giants
No,
hat?
this is the Chicago American Giants. They were a Negro League baseball team.
All right. Where'd you get that at? I like the hat.
Oh, I got it in Chicago when I was at Northwestern. I bought the
Okay.
jersey and the hat.
Very cool. I'm a fan. It looks good. It's good to see you. You also got a fresh new cut ahead of. But happy Thanksgiving, everybody, too. This is the last
Thanksgiving.
pump fake before Thanksgiving. Today's agenda: Matt Canada gets fired by the Steelers. The ramifications of that. Josh Allen looks. I mean, he said it on the sideline himself, and I quote: "I feel like I'm fucking back." And then Chiefs and Eagles from last night. Our takeaways from arguably the biggest matchup of the year. And then JP and I are going to have a Thanksgiving food draft. He already metaphorically hit me over the head with a guitar over a Thanksgiving food take I already had today. So we'll dive into that. But we'll start with Matt Canada getting fired today. No longer the offensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers. This was long overdue. Many expected him to not return this year to begin with. He does. And you look across the board statistically, this is one of the worst offenses in the league. It has been since he took over in 2021. And after 44 games, none of which yielded 400 yards of total offense, they've had this is another new stat I found out today. There was one game in which the Steelers passed for 300 yards since Matt Canada took over as offensive coordinator, and it was Kenny Pickett's first career start against Buffalo, where they lost 35-3. That was the one 300-yard passing performance for the Steelers in the Matt Canada era. Every stat that you hear come out is worse than the last, and this felt long overdue.
Yeah, it felt like something had to give, and losing to a Browns team that was playing Dorian Thompson-Robinson at quarterback, that felt like the watershed moment. You cannot continue to trot an offense out there that, you score 10, you give up 10 points or 13 points in the game, you should win that game. But the offense has just not been able to generate anything throwing the ball at all. Whether you want to blame that on Kenny Pickett or Matt Canada, I think all of it is bad, but this is something had to give and someone had to go, and you're not getting rid of the starting quarterback at this point.
You're not. I will say, however, anybody who expects like the offense to all of a sudden be like, oh, good, Matt Canada's gone, all the problems are gone, I think they're going to be severely disappointed, because for as big a problem as Matt Canada was, and it was the right decision to fire him, I think the quarterback is equally, if not more, to blame, because for as bad as Matt Canada's scheme is, you and I have talked about this before on different shows, there's been plenty of instances where guys were open and Pickett either just doesn't throw it, or he misses them, or he'll do that, dumbass pirouette thing in the pocket that he just can't seem to take out of his game. So as good a move as this was to get rid of Matt Canada, I don't even think it comes close to fixing everything, because the quarterback has his own issues.
Yeah, of course. It's not going to fix everything. They also have two offense coordinators. Like, one's calling plays and the other is the offense coordinator, which feels very weird. Like, how is that chain of command going to work during the games? And also, if that chain of command doesn't involve one guy or doesn't involve another guy, who's going to end up taking the blame when things go wrong? It's going to be the guy who's bringing down the plays, or is it going to be the guy who's not involved in any way possible? It feels like there's still a lot more questions and answers with the Steelers offense, and the quarterback isn't really going to help. I mean, he's been one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL this year, and it's not even like it's close, but it just feels like every time you're watching that offense, they struggle to – any play over 10 yards downfield just feels like such a breath of fresh air, because it's so hard to get that.
Yeah. And you brought up the new coordinator. I don't know, the dynamic in that room now. So it would be running backs coach Eddie Faulkner is going to be the acting offensive coordinator. Quarterback coach Mike Sullivan is calling the plays. We've talked about the parallels over the past couple of years with the Steelers and Patriots. This is just another one where now it's a two-headed monster. As offensive coordinator, it was the same thing for Mac Jones last year. And the same conversations were being had about Mac Jones last year. Like, it was like, oh my goodness, how can we judge Mac Jones with the offense that he's in right now? It's impossible to judge any quarterback. And then they bring in Bill O'Brien, and it turns out, oh yeah, Mac Jones is just bad. I think we're seeing much of the same thing right now. with Kenny Pickett, where, yeah, Matt Canada's offense stunk, but I think Kenny Pickett is also just bad.
Yeah, and I also feel like another current, like contemporary example of this is the New York Jets. You know, Nathaniel Hackett's calling plays, but Todd Downing's the one on the sideline or the one up above in the sting rafters. I just wonder, what is the benefit here? How is this chain of command going to work? Is a play caller going to call plays from up top in the press box and then call them down to the OC, who's going to relay the play to Kenny Pickett? Who's going to be left out of this? Who is going to be like, oh, I'll take the blame for this one because it was me calling the play? But it just feels like the chain of command is just all the way messed up. It's not going to help anything, but you had to do something.
There's too much cooks in the kitchen right now in terms of what they're trying to do. And it's already like, I'll give Kenny Pickett a little bit of nobody's been harsher in terms of their critiques of him than me. I will give him this though. That's a lot to deal with in terms of the bad offense. And now if there's two guys trying to, relay plays, that's just going to be a hell of a mess. If he doesn't outperform Jake Browning this weekend, there's going to be even more questions to be asked, because then you're sitting at 6-5 and very easily can miss the playoffs after being 6-3 and going up against Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Jake Browning. If you can't beat either of them, I think that the Steelers need to really start asking themselves, okay, they should already be asking themselves if Kenny Pickett's the guy, but if he doesn't perform this weekend, then it's got to be like, all right, man, we really got to consider what we're going to do next year.
It's going to be rough, especially because, these were the games they were supposed to win. We said, the Steelers are really bad, but they have an easy schedule. But now you're losing the games on said easy schedule. Mm-hmm. So at this point, it's like we missed the playoffs after starting out 6-2, 6-3. Someone's got to go. You've already fired the coordinator. I think the quarterback is the next one to go. Even if they make the playoffs, the quarterback should be the next person to go.
In terms of like the next coordinators and whatnot, people are pointing at Byron Leftwich, like certain fans are. I'm seeing a lot of like film guys I trust in the Steelers Twitter community, Derek Brown being one of them, saying that is a horrible idea. I don't know what your thoughts are on Byron Leftwich as a coordinator and what his fit could be in Pittsburgh or lack thereof. Do you have any thoughts on what that would look like?
So I think Byron Leftwich, probably his scheme fits the personnel that the Steelers have. When you think about his teams in Tampa, a lot of 12 personnel, a lot of running the ball at you, a lot of duo, a lot of counter, a lot of split zone, and then you take the passes vertical off of that. But you have to add the Tom Brady tax to that. The plays are really cool, but Tom Brady had to have played a major factor in all of that. And then when things started to go wrong, Byron Leftwich wasn't exactly the great play caller. It was very reliant on the run and very run heavy. And that was one of the biggest issues with Tom Brady, or one of the biggest issues with the Bucs in Tom Brady's last year. So I think Byron Leftwich fits the personnel, but I don't know if he fits what the Steelers actually want to turn this offense into. Like they want to get out of the doldrums of like run, pass.
I wonder too if they look to give one potential first-time guy a look, like if they wanted to go the route of a Jarrett Johnson who's in Houston right now under Bobby Slowick. I think that's a route that they could go. And if they do target a veteran quarterback, like my dream scenario on November 21st, 2023 is Jarrett Johnson, offensive coordinator. Kirk Cousins signs as a free agent. There's connective tissue in there. They were together last year in Minnesota and institute a similar offense to what the Vikings run under Kevin O'Connell, a lot of zone-based run type situations. I think that could, especially for a guy like Dan Moore, who is better at zone-based run blocking, I think that would be a better adaptation for the Steelers offense than what it currently is. And I think the connective tissue between Jarrett Johnson and Kirk Cousins would be, an easy fit considering that they already have pre-existing chemistry.
So I don't know if a lot of fans will like the name, but Anthony Lynn would be a pretty good name. And pretty good offensive coordinator. You think about what he did with Justin Herbert in his rookie year in terms of like, that was one of his best like years in terms of throwing the ball downfield. Like that's one of his best years was his rookie year in terms of average depth of target, the touchdowns, explosive plays were there. I think Anthony Lynn would be a really good hire. He's the running backs coach right now for the San Francisco 49ers.
And staying in the Chargers realm, Shane Day could be another one. He's also in Houston right now. I mean, if they wanted to go that Chargers route, That's something to look at.
If you want to go the college route, Mike Bobo, the Georgia offensive coordinator, I think it worked for Todd Monken and the Ravens, evidently.
Yeah.
If you can't beat them, join them. Go ahead and take Mike Bobo, who has kept the wheels turning on that Georgia offense. And they run a lot of NFL concepts out of 12 personnel, which is the Steelers optimist. Like the peak for them, what they want to do is get into 12 personnel and be able to have Freiermuth and Washington on the field at the same time with Deontay Johnson and George Pickens. They can play that matchup physical ball they want to. Mike Bobo basically does that at Georgia. They run the NFL stuff at Georgia. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a lot of NFL calls this offseason.
Not to mention Washington and Broderick Jones both went to Georgia. There's a lot of, connective pieces there as well. The one name that I hope that they stay away from, and nothing against him, I just don't want to see any more same building hires. Don't hire Mark Whipple. Do not do it. I don't need to see another Pitt guy get a job as the Steelers offensive coordinator. Granted, like he's had previous NFL jobs before. He was Ben Roethlisberger's quarterback coach from 04 to 06. I don't care. I don't want to see any more same building hires. Go outside of the UPMC Sports Complex in the south side of Pittsburgh and get somebody that's not currently in the building, because I just don't want to see it again.
That's really been it's the Steelers' greatest quality and also their biggest downfall. They run the front office like the mafia, which is you don't leave unless you die, which is why this Matt Canada firing was so wow, this is a big thing, because they haven't fired anybody midseason since 1941. That's a big thing for them to do. It's a big step. But you're right. They need new ideas. They need other thoughts in that room.
Yeah.
You can't keep trotting out the same guys. You can't keep filtering up all these offensive position coaches for a team that hasn't been good on offense, that you're not doing anything better. You're just bringing a new guy who's run the same system for the past 3 years up the chain. You're just moving everybody up, and they really need some new ideas, some fresh ideas in that offensive room.
Moving along, though, we'll stick in the AFC. The Buffalo Bills, another team who just fired their offensive coordinator, and it looked to pay dividends because they are only the second team this year to put 30 points on the New York Jets. Joe Brady looked like he remembered that the middle of the field exists for Buffalo. Josh Allen looked really good against the Jets. It just felt like the Bills were rejuvenated. It felt like their offense was playing with a little bit more of a kick and realizing, okay, you know what, the season really starts now. The playoffs really start now for them in a lot of ways. I think Josh made a lot of really cool throws. The touchdown pass to Khalil Shakir, where he fitted, I can't remember who the defensive back was that he threaded the needle pass. But the pass to Khalil Shakir that resulted in an 81-yard touchdown was very cool. I think a lot of the concepts that they drew up were really neat. That mesh traffic concept that they ran in the red zone, the same one that the 49ers ran against Tampa Bay, where they had James Cook line up to the left of Josh Allen. They ran mesh, and then he took off diagonally to the opposite flat. That resulted in a touchdown. Just different stuff like that, where the Bills, it felt like a more modern, forward-thinking offense rather than what Ken Dorsey was doing with a lot of these corner flat concepts that just weren't working. It felt like a fresh air for the Buffalo Bills.
Honestly, and it's going to be so weird to say, but the difference in what happened with the Bills scoring 32 points against the Jets and then scoring however many points, it was 21 or 16 the last time they played the Jets, is Ken Dorsey stopped calling the turnover button. That's the biggest thing that happened. The Bills were fine offensively. They just were turning the ball over a lot. And those turnovers felt a lot larger because they didn't have the defense required to support them off of those turnovers. You don't really need that when you play the Jets and Zach Wilson, because you're not going to do anything with it. So I think even with the Josh Allen run game stuff, the Bills were trying to get to that, but every time they tried, they would fumble. That's a big thing. You got to have the ball in order to run the ball. So I think really the biggest thing that came out of that was there was just more energy with this team. And that's probably the big reason why they fired Ken Dorsey, was there just wasn't a lot of energy. It sounded like they had both reached their wits' end. And so they needed a shot of something. You know how when you're groggy early in the morning and you get a shot of espresso, and that jolts you up for a little bit. That's what the Bills needed. They needed the espresso shot. And that's what Joe Brady brought.
Do you think that he holds on to the offensive coordinator job full time?
It's too early to tell, especially with where the Bills are going to be headed within the next few weeks of this season. You know, they have the Eagles, they have the Chiefs, they have the Cowboys, and then they're on the road against the Chargers. Like that, that's going to be a big stretch of games for that team, especially if they want to make the playoffs. If they can manage to survive that and make the playoffs, sure, Joe Brady might get that full-time job, but it really just depends on how they play through this tough stretch. I think it's a little too early to tell, like if he's going to be the new offensive coordinator full-time.
I gotta tell you, man, I still think that they make it, and maybe that's just me being, the adopted Bills fan at this point in my life, and I don't know, but they are the Heath Ledger to my Jake Gyllenhaal. I just cannot quit them.
I want to believe, but with the amount of injuries on that defense and the lack of depth they have on that defense, and their struggles, like they struggle against a lot of teams who were able to run the ball like at them because they didn't have that depth. They missed Matt Milano. Well, it sucks because they're going to be playing the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and the Chargers, all of whom can run the ball fairly well. The Eagles are going to be a massive problem for the Bills, mainly because, like, if you try and stop the run, they're just going to throw it to A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith, and you don't have the dudes. So I am cautious about saying, like, yeah, they'll make the playoffs. They figured it all out. I don't know. This defense is going to really have to show me something over the next 4 weeks.
Well, hey, Shaq Leonard just became a free agent. I mean, if he needs somebody, I know he's not exactly what he used to be, but that would be a nice little upgrade for them in the middle of the defense.
Yeah, I think once he clears waivers, because you don't want to end up paying
on
what
that big contract
the Colts are paying, like to Shaq Leonard. But sure, I'd be in for it. I think you need that pop in the middle of the field, that kind of veteran presence. But I don't know. I'm holding off on saying, like, yeah, the Bills are back, or yeah, they're gonna make the playoffs. Like, hold on, let's see how these next 4 games go, and then we'll catch up after that.
The Jets are done then, right? By the way, like they're trying out Tim Boyle this Friday night. This is kind of the fork in the Jets season, right?
Yeah, it's honestly, it was over when Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Like that was it. You know, like as much as Zach Wilson, like, oh, he looked fine, there were always going to be performances like what he did against Buffalo on Sunday. Like that is what Zach Wilson is at this point. And yeah, they're done. It sucks because that defense is really, really good.
Yeah.
And Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall are extremely talented, but they don't have a quarterback on that roster who can get them to at least a passable level of offensive functioning, especially with Nathaniel Hackett calling plays, who hasn't been good himself at all. Like Zach Wilson has been bad. Nathaniel Hackett's also been bad. It has been, if it weren't for Kenny Pickett and Matt Canada being really, really bad, this would be the same exact thing.
We look at this deep AFC still as well. Like, in the hunt category, you still got the entirety of the AFC West now because the Chargers are still in it. Denver's won 4 in a row. The Raiders are still there. It's a very deep AFC in terms of who's going to get that 7th wild card spot. It's a deep conference. If you had to pick who's going to get out of it as of right now, who's coming out of the AFC as the playoff picture?
As the 7th seed? Oh man.
Because I think we can check off Cincinnati. I don't care who they trot out at quarterback. Without Burrow, they're not going anywhere.
Okay.
I think Cleveland, it's going to take a big collapse for them to fall out of the playoffs, even with the quarterback issues they have. They're still 7-3. I'd have to pull up their schedule to see what it is, but it's not. I don't think it's like a daunting task for them to win 2 more games.
Yeah. So right now, the bottom 3 are the Browns, Texans, Steelers. If there's any team that's on the bubble that I have faith in that would take that spot from the Steelers or something, I guess, I mean, it's the Bills. But
yeah, the Bills are still there.
Even then, like, maybe the Broncos? Maybe.
How do you feel about Denver? Because I'm on the fence. Defensively, they've been much better since they got that 70-point beat down. But you look at the last month in terms of points allowed, they've been really good. And Russ has looked better. Like, Russ isn't cooking like a 5-star chef. He's more cooking like he got a package from HelloFresh and it's giving him all the ingredients and he's making it pretty well with what's in front of him. Like he's not cooking, quote unquote, but he's following the recipe really well.
This is exactly what the Broncos' plan was going into the season. Like, it's not going to be let Russ cook. It is, we just need you to make the throws in the times that we need them. You don't have to throw it a lot. Like, you don't have to be the early down pass rate king. But when it's 3rd and 6 and we need a play, or when we're in the red zone and we need a touchdown pass to Cortland Sutton, that is when you need to be on your game. Right. Sean Payton has kind of turned Russ into a one-read quarterback, which is, if it's not there, you run, which is fine. I mean, it's helped. The run game has looked really well since, kind of turning around. The defense has been the biggest thing. And I think what happened early on in the season is Vance Joseph tried to run Ejiro Evero's like Fangio scheme.
Yeah.
But the problem with the Fangio scheme is if you don't have Vic Fangio or you don't have Aaron Donald or an Aaron Donald caliber player, you're not going to be able to run that really well. So I think switching that up to, okay, now I'm going to run my stuff and getting Baron Browning back, getting that pass rush all the way back up to 100, that has really helped that team. I don't know. I want to believe, but it would take, because you're still playing AFC West.
Sure.
You're still going to, it's tough. It's going to be tough for them. I mean, they have the Browns on the schedule. They have the Texans on the schedule, 2 Chargers games, a Lions game mixed in there, and then their last game is against the Raiders. So it's going to be a little bit of tough sledding. But if there's anybody that's not like the Bills on the outside of the bubble, like I think that's the team I would pick.
And since week 7, their defense is 9th in the league in EPA per play. That's a hell of a lot better than it was in the first month of the season, where everybody and their mother was running down their throats. Obviously, Miami put up 1 billion yards of offense and 70 points on them. The fact that they were able to bounce back from that and put up the performance we've seen over the last month, I think that says a lot about their resilience. And we look at Russ's numbers. His numbers look much better than what he has on the field. However, like you said, he's doing what they need him to do. And it took a little bit of time for that to gel. But anytime you bring in a new head coach, a new system, don't get too many. I have to go back and look to see how much he played in the preseason. I know he did for a little bit against Arizona. But overall, I mean, when we go into the regular season, it's going to take some time to gel. I think we're finally starting to see that gel at the right time, and now they're in the thick of it. The AFC West has been, like, even the Raiders, like, they were 14-point dogs against Miami, and they were in it until the final drive. I'm not saying that they're going to make a run at this thing, but they're still in it. They're showing that they're playing for Antonio Pierce. Offensively, they look much more. How do I want to word this? Aiden O'Connell is taking chances, but they're like not like awful throws that he's throwing into quadruple coverage. Aside from the final play of the game where Jalen Ramsey makes a spectacular play on the ball, I think that Vegas putting up this kind of fight is admirable and not what I expected once they decided to move on from McDaniels. The floor hasn't fallen out from under them, which is saying a lot.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for the Raiders has been, especially offensively, they figured out to throw the ball to Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
like that's the biggest thing.
Even Antonio Pierce said after one of his pressers, he's like, "Yeah, I've got one of the best receivers in the world. I'm not an idiot. Like, I'm going to get him the ball."
Yeah, like it's not hard to be like, "Oh, that guy's really good. We should get him the ball a lot." Like Aiden O'Connell is a lot of things, and not a lot of them are good. But what he does know is that number 17 is probably always open, and you should try throwing the ball to him. So that's commendable. I think they found a bit more of a groove in the run game. Josh Jacobs has looked really good since Josh McDaniels has been gone. I don't know if I'm putting a lot of faith in them actually being something when it comes to the playoff picture, but I think it's fun that they're playing hard for Antonio Pierce. That defense is not great, but they play hard. Max Crosby is holding together that defense like Spider-Man. It's all the Spider-Man like classic scenes where he's trying to hold a train together with two of the webs. That's Max Crosby and this Raiders defense. He is holding it together as long as possible, but I just don't know if they are going to actually be anything serious when it comes to the playoff picture.
I agree. And we talk about defenses over the last month or so. We just talked about Denver being 9th in EPA per play since week 7. The Raiders defense is 3rd in EPA per play since week 7. So they credit to Max Crosby, man. Like, is there a more valuable defender on any team this year than Max Crosby?
Oh,
maybe. I'm not talking about talent, but like value wise, like I think he is minimum as valuable as Myles Garrett and TJ Watt. Maximum, he's the most valuable defensive player in the league right now.
I was gonna say Myles Garrett. Like that was the guy I was like, okay, that's like the one, like in terms of value, like yeah, those are two of the equal guys when it comes to playing that position in the NFL. But the dude never, like, we throw around relentless and high motor a lot. No, you don't have a high motor. You are not relentless. Max Crosby is relentless. That man never takes a play off. I think there was this crazy stat that was passed around like a couple weeks ago. He's played like 98% of the snaps this season as a defensive lineman. Like that's abnormal stuff when everybody's like rotating around and you're playing with such a high pace. He's playing every single snap. It's not just playing every single snap. He's never taking a play off. You cannot run away from him because he's always chasing down that play. You have to block him with like 2 guys, at least, maybe 3. Send chip help, send a double. It feels like whenever you play the Raiders, you should block Max Crosby with 4 people. That's it. Like everybody else, fine. Go ahead. If you want to go off, like go off. We're not gonna let that guy go off though, because he can flip a game plan.
We'll stick in the AFC West. Monday Night Football, Chiefs, Eagles. Are you more, how do I want to word this? Are you more impressed with Philadelphia coming back, or are you more concerned with the Chiefs letting it slip away?
So at first, excuse me, I was concerned about the Chiefs giving the game away, but then I went back and watched the game. Eagles came back and won that game, especially offensively. The Eagles do this thing where they play bad for 3 quarters. And then in the 4th quarter, they remember we have a whole lot more. We have much more dudes than you. Like they can just throw the ball up to Devontae Smith and he will make the plays. You have Jalen Hurts, who is a +1 in the run game. He made a bunch of great throws in the game, even on a very inefficient night for him. I think Spags and that defense played really well. I think, which also kind of plays into like, man, I do feel like I'm a little bit concerned about the Chiefs offense. And it's not just like, oh, they needed to trade for like Mike Evans or DeAndre Hopkins. No, you didn't need to trade for those guys. I mean, it'd be great to have them, but you need to trade for Jacoby Myers or somebody like that who can. And I think I said it on the Monday, not the Monday Football Monday show, but the day after I was talking with some of my coworkers at SB Nation, and I was saying, last year, Juju Smith-Schuster, if we're looking at traditional roles on an offense, Juju Smith-Schuster was the tight end. Travis Kelce was the receiver. Juju Smith-Schuster did all the tough catches over the middle. He was the one who found the holes in the zone. He kept that offense on schedule when the run game isn't working. Now you don't have that. You have a bunch of deep threats who have questionable hands, and you have a bunch of gadget players and Rashee Rice. Like Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, and Mecole Hardman all do the same thing. And trying to fit all these square pegs into round holes is not working right now. And it's taking a hamper on this Chiefs offense because now you can't be normally as efficient as you are in the passing game because you're not getting those 5 to 6 yards with Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, their most efficient non-handoff, non-Kelce play is the Rashee Rice screen where like they're playing off coverage. It's like, hey, here, have the ball. But I'm a little more concerned than I was about the Chiefs going into this game because, I mean, they'll probably be fine, but the margins in the AFC have gone down really thin after that loss. Like you no longer have the 1 seed. So, and again, every team in the AFC is capable of beating every other team. Like you are not infallible anymore. Like nobody is afraid of like going into Arrowhead, you know, but I'm not saying like
you really think so?
Like major, like, no, we're not afraid, but this team is more beatable than they have been in years past.
That's fair. I had a thought in my head and then it went away. Oh, okay. Comparing like the Chiefs receivers, like it's kind of like a third line in hockey. Like you can't just have 4 lines of just speed and scores. Like you got to have a grinder. You got to have a dude who's like willing to check guys. You got to have a guy who's willing to get in guys' faces, protect your stars, get the chippy plays, penalty kill. You need a guy like that. And right now, I think you pointed out they do miss Juju because that's what he does. He was the underneath guy. He was the guy who was getting in guys' faces and blocking and doing the down and dirty stuff. They don't have a receiver that really does much of that right now because, like you pointed out, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Mecole Hardman, they're the same guy with different fonts. Like it's the same play style. Rashee Rice, I talked about it last night when we were doing Chase Thomas's show. Buck and Aikman were talking on the broadcast. Like he doesn't have a target of more than 10 yards downfield. Like, that's crazy. And
it's crazy, but that's also like his game. That was his game coming out. Like he is the screen pass, then yak. He was the yak guy in this draft class, but you don't have the in-between guy. You don't have the it's funny that I go to this comparison, but the Chiefs don't have Arn Anderson. They have Ric Flair and they have Tully Blanchard. They don't have Arn Anderson. They need kind of that enforcer. They need the guy over the middle of the field who's going to do the dirty work. Justin Watson's not doing that. He's the deep threat. They need that guy. They don't have that. They need their Damian Priest. You know, they need their big dude. If he's not the star Judgment Day, I guess that makes Travis Kelce Rhea Ripley. But okay,
they need their China.
Yes, they need their China. That's what the Chiefs need. The Chiefs need their China.
That's one of the clips that we're going to put out for this episode. The Chiefs need their China. That's good. It's very good. Before we go, like I pointed out, this is the final show before Thanksgiving. I tweeted earlier because I saw somebody talking about mac and cheese on Thanksgiving. And I got to say, man, I do love a good mac and cheese. It's not a Thanksgiving food. It's just not.
What do you consider a Thanksgiving food? What is the definition of a Thanksgiving food?
Man, I hadn't thought about that. Maybe it's just me being selfish. What I grew up with on a Thanksgiving table, mac and cheese just wasn't it. I just never had mac and cheese on Thanksgiving. So maybe that's where it comes in for me. Fair. I think it's just everybody's different personal experiences that they can kind of pick and choose what's a Thanksgiving food. Some people don't like the green bean casserole stuff. I like that personally. I assume that you had mac and cheese on Thanksgiving then?
Love mac and cheese. That's a great Thanksgiving side dish right there.
So what we're going to do, we're going to draft Thanksgiving foods as a whole. We'll go 5 rounds like we usually do in our drafts. Since you're the guest, I will allow you to go first. So the first overall pick in the Thanksgiving food draft is?
I'm going with that classic honey baked ham. We're going.
You're going with that. Oh, so are you a ham over turkey guy?
Normally my family does both ham and turkey, but the ham is always going first.
Okay.
Ham's always gone first. I'm going ham over turkey. I just think turkey's great. Turkey's fantastic.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of variance with turkey. You know, like if you don't cook it right, it's going to be dry, you know, and that's not saying like nobody knows how to cook turkey. It's more just that is the nature of the bird. You can never really dry out ham. And that's ham is always gone first in my family. So I'm going ham first overall pick.
My grandma makes a ham and a turkey as well. I'm a big fan of both. I'm trying to get a read on you, see if I know what you're going to try to pick if I don't pick it. But to me, this is the staple of Thanksgiving food. And if you don't like it, you're incorrect. So I'm probably going to get a lot of shit for this for not taking turkey here, but I'm going to take stuffing because stuffing's the best Thanksgiving food.
I'm not a big fan of stuffing. I don't know. I don't like the mouthfeel.
Really?
I don't like the feel. It looks weird. It tastes weird to me. I'm not a big stuffing fan.
Look, man, it's a lot like stuffing. In that case, it's a lot like cunnilingus. The first taste might be a little bit, might be a little bit tangy, but I promise you'll grow to love it.
That's the craziest comparison I've ever heard. And I said Jalen Hurts runs like Times New Roman.
You did say that last night, and I had no idea what the hell you were talking about, but you seem to really be dedicated to it.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like Times New Roman's very professional. If you're typing in Times New Roman, that means you're here for business. Jalen Hurts runs like a very, very professional. If you were teaching an alien how to run with a football, you're showing him videos of Jalen Hurts. The man just he's a very good runner. Like that's something like you show kids are like, oh, this is how you run. So it's Times New Roman.
With the explanation, it makes much more sense. Allow me to defend stuffing, though. There's several different types, several different ways to make it. You can make it in like a muffin form, which is also very good. There's cornbread stuffing, really good. If you put a little bit of gravy on it, it's just, I love stuffing so much. I'm going to have like 9 plates of it at my grandmother's. It's going to be awesome. Stuffing is my favorite Thanksgiving food. I think it is like the staple of Thanksgiving. I prefer it inside the turkey. It's okay if it's outside the turkey, though. I'll have it separately. I'm more than okay just having some stovetop if people don't feel like making it like from scratch. But I can't get enough stuffing. It's perfect.
That's fair. That's a very fair explanation. I don't know if I like the taste or the look of it.
It's fine. Your second pick.
My second pick, candied yams.
Yeah, man. All right, we can agree on that.
Dish. That is, you get the sweet, but you get the savory. Just a perfect counter to kind of the traditional, like the heartiness of the turkey on Thanksgiving.
Sweet potatoes, yams are just so they've been like a holiday thing, like my family. I say our most families and everything, but like when I taste it, like if I close my eyes and I taste it, it just feels like Thanksgiving, like you're decorating for Christmas and everything. It just tastes nostalgic, and I love it. It's such a good thing.
It tastes like the holidays.
Yeah, man. Yeah, all right, I can get behind that. So I'll take turkey then second. That way, I've got a meat on the table now. You already talked about it. Doesn't need defending. People who don't like turkey are just simply incorrect. It's so good, man. And whether you like dark meat, light meat, doesn't matter. It's just perfect. And then you get like the leftovers for like 4 days where you can make like turkey sandwiches on Hawaiian rolls. It's fantastic. It's the best thing in the world.
I will say the people who deep fry turkeys are psychopaths.
Yeah, what the hell is up with that?
Are bad. It's just the high variance thing. It rarely ever works. Like you're either cooking this turkey to perfection or you're blowing up your house.
Yeah. Big time. What is your third pick?
My third pick. Got to get a vegetable on the table. I'm going collard greens.
I got to be honest with you, man. I've never tried collard greens.
Cool. That's a Southern institution right there.
Yeah, I was going to say that's more of a Southern food. I've never been introduced to them.
They're amazing. Amazing. You get to Mobile, and I'm in Mobile for the Senior Bowl. We will get you some collard greens.
Okay.
We'll find a place.
We'll go to Susie Q's. That's one of the better barbecue places there. You can introduce me to collard greens.
That's right.
All right. My third pick, I will take mashed potatoes. Again, just a staple. It's a classic. It's very good. I've never met anybody who doesn't like mashed potatoes.
Love mashed potatoes.
You can choose if you want a light gravy, if you want a brown gravy, however you want to serve it up. I prefer mine a little bit lumpier with, a little bit of the potato still in it. I think that's awesome. Thick mashed potatoes will fill you up quick, but damn it, they are delish. So mashed potatoes, number 3.
Real solid pick right there. That's
absolutely good value.
That's the glue guy of the plate.
Oh yeah, that's the Draymond Green of the Thanksgiving dinner.
That's Draymond Green. That's picking the left guard from like Kansas State in like the third round. It's not a sexy pick, but that's a 12-year vet right there.
That was the Chiefs taking Creed Humphrey when they took him.
That's right. Creed Humphrey is mashed potatoes.
The perfect comparison.
Kansas City Chiefs.
That's Quinn Miners.
That's right.
All right. Number 4 for you.
My number 4. I'm getting this one with some value. Actually, no, I'm not going to go with this one. I'm going to go sweet potato pie.
Oh, we want the pie.
Sweet potatoes. I love sweet potato pie. It is my favorite pie. There are people out there, Dan Orlovsky.
At Orlovsky.
Sweet potato pie is fantastic. If you don't like sweet potato pie, you do not deserve to eat pie. So that's my best take for sweet potato pie. It is. Pumpkin pie is not even close. It's not close.
It's not. It really, and I like pumpkin pie. I am a basic bitch when it comes to pumpkin stuff. Sweet potato pie blows it out of the water.
It is sweeter. It's more flavorful. It's savory. You can microwave it if you want. You can have it cold after it's in the fridge, and it's like late at night. You want to sneak some pie. You can have it anytime. That is the peak Thanksgiving pie.
It's fantastic. Do I want to take a pie now? Because what's remaining on the Thanksgiving table isn't as good as the pie. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw a curveball. we just talked about pies and everything. As much as I love sweet potato pie, as much as I love pumpkin pie, I'm going to go with the holiday cheesecake over any of the pies. I'm a big cheesecake guy, so I would take the holiday cheesecake as the dessert. It comes to, I don't know if I wanted to do that or pecan pie, because I love pecan pie too, big pecan pie guy. But something about cheesecake, man, it's not good for. I mean, none of those are good for you, but cheesecake really is just. It's just so good. I'm a big cheesecake guy. You get a slice of like cherry cheesecake in me, I'm good.
Cherry cheesecake, the New York style cheesecake's classic. No, you can't beat a good cheesecake,
Nah. But with like a graham cracker crust.
Oh, come on. You're speaking my language right now.
There we go.
That's a peak dessert right there.
Lovely. Your last pick to fill your Thanksgiving table.
My last pick, I'm getting Amon-Ra St. Brown on day 3 of the draft right here. Mac and cheese.
He did it. He really did.
Mac and cheese. I knew that you weren't going to pick mac and cheese.
Wouldn't it have been hilarious if I took mac and cheese and really just throw you a curveball?
So funny because you don't eat mac and cheese. So you're basically Dave Gettleman at this point.
Drafting I like mac and cheese. Don't get me wrong. I just don't eat it on Thanksgiving.
That's like, that's like Urban Meyer saying he wanted Kadarius Toney and ended up with Travis Etienne. Like you're really out here just like wilding. But I'm going mac and cheese. Love mac and cheese as a Thanksgiving dish. You put the yams and the mac and cheese together when it's on the same plate, but you combine it because they're naturally touching. Oh, that is good eating right there. You get the little bit of salt, a little bit of salty. You get the right.
Did you say you combine your yams and your mac and cheese?
Because they're already touching on the plate. I'm not a big like. There's certain times where I'm like, I don't want my food to touch, but on Thanksgiving and on Christmas, all the flavors naturally like blend together. Like it's a real kind of smorgasbord.
I kind of hear you. Like I don't mind if my food touches, but I don't want to put those two things in my mouth at the same time. I want those flavors separate.
No, it's like a little sweet and salty a little bit. It's not bad. It's not bad, but then you get like the sweet, like the juices off the yams that kind of trickle onto the mac and cheese. Like that's real eats right there.
Are you one of these psychopaths who puts ketchup on their mac and cheese?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay, good.
No, absolutely not. But
all right.
So actually for most Thanksgivings, for holidays before, I used to be in charge of making mac and cheese. So what you
do?
Yeah, you get different types of cheese. You get the sharp cheddar or like the mild cheddar, whichever one you want. Get a little Colby Jack. And what I do is you don't like traditionally make it into a sauce, but you mix it up with the macaroni after it's already been boiled, and then you kind of layer it. You bake the mac and cheese. That's how you get all the flavors cooked in. Use a little bit of evaporated milk, get a couple eggs in there, mix it in, make sure it's sticking together. It's real eats right there.
You were gonna make your lady friend a very happy wife one day with those cooking skills. My last pick, it's come down to two things because I like both of them. An ode to our friend Eric Edholm from NFL.com, I will take green bean casserole. He told me last year that he home makes a green bean casserole every year, and I need to try it. I'm a big fan, like the crispy onions on top of it, really good. I go cream of chicken soup because I don't like mushrooms, so I try to stay away from the cream of mushroom soup, but like the stringier green beans with the mashed onions, the shallots. Oh, it's very good.
So I've actually never had green bean casserole. That is not a dish for Thanksgiving. We normally do collard greens, we do green beans, we'll have rice, but never green bean casserole.
Something just hit me in my head over the dessert I should have taken, because I didn't take the best dessert of all. I didn't take banana pudding, which is the greatest thing that has ever graced this world. My grandmother makes it homemade every year. I'm going to eat so much of it. You put Nilla wafers in it, and brother, it is.
Ooh, so what we do for desserts, my grandma makes, she'll make a sweet potato pie. She'll make a couple sweet potato pies, a couple pecan pies. My aunt makes this great pound cake.
Pound cake.
Pound cake is a phenomenal. I was gonna choose that over sweet potato pie for a second.
Wow.
I love pound cake. You get a good, nice slice of pound cake. It's like a little bit of warm. You get a nice little crunch on the outside. Get nice soft in the middle. That's real desserts right there. We throw down a little bit on Thanksgiving.
You wanna know like a really good if you're in a hunch or in a pinch and just want something sweet. You take a package of soft baked Chips Ahoy and a tub of whipped cream. You take one layer of Chips Ahoy and then cover it with whipped cream. Put the more chips. Just keep going and make like a lasagna out of that and cut it down the middle. Yeah, it's glorious.
That's pure right there.
Absolutely. Well, I hope you have a great Thanksgiving, my friend. Are you traveling out of the state of Florida to go anywhere, or are you staying pretty local?
Not going out of the state. My grandparents are in Gainesville, so I'm traveling to Gainesville for this Thanksgiving. But we will definitely be eating. We'll definitely be in front of the TV and watching football.
Are you a Thanksgiving Day parade guy? I am. Big parade guy.
So it depends. My grandparents love watching it. My younger siblings, my cousins who are like 4, they love watching it. So it'll probably be on before the games. But then when that time hits and you hear the Fox Sports,
yes,
that's the game. That's game time. That's when Granddad comes in, parade goes off, game goes on, and then we're just sitting in front of the TV until like 11 p.m.
I can't wait. Yeah, my very Italian grandfather and I are going to be sitting there. He's going to watch me gamble and shove food down my face and ask why I'm not married yet. It's going to be an awesome time. So I was watching the parade last year, and I'm starting to realize that I'm getting older because I'm not recognizing a lot of these balloons. Like I didn't know who Bluey was last year. Like, yeah, it's been 365 days since I found out who the hell Bluey was.
I get it. As someone who like has like siblings who are of age to watch Bluey, I understand like someone not watching Bluey because you just don't like you don't have a child and you don't have siblings or cousins who are of age to watch Bluey.
Exactly. So that was a one of those like slaps in the face of like, oh man, I'm gonna be 25. This is really getting there. But I'm excited. Thanksgiving is such a great day. And there's gonna be a lot of things to talk about. The Lions are actually good this year. We got Cowboys, Commanders, and then 49ers Seahawks as the nightcap game. So I mean, three good. Who are the Lions playing? I completely slipped my mind.
Playing the Packers.
Oh man, okay. So we got two divisional matchups, 3 divisional matchups actually. All
divisional matchups. Wow. And then if you're inclined for college football, the Egg Bowl is on Thursday night, which Mississippi or Ole Miss against Mississippi State. It is never a normal football game. Like a few years ago, remember when Elijah Moore pretended to be a dog and peed on this field? That's the Egg Bowl.
Okay.
Miss versus Mississippi State. Nothing is ever normal. Coaches get fired because of the Egg Bowl. Nothing, like people pee on fields, wave at cameras.
Why do they call it the Egg Bowl?
I don't know the origin of it off the top of my head, but I'll get back to you.
Okay. Well, regardless, my friend, happy Thanksgiving. Have a great day. And I will talk to you, I guess, next Monday night on the Chase Thomas podcast.
That's right. I'll see you then. Happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely, buddy. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody listening, watching, however you're doing it. Appreciate you. We'll be back next week with more of the Pump Fake.